Jeffery Fuller.
Good morning, Central. I would like to share with you a brief moment of current history. Born a slave, owned by two different masters, and orphaned all by age 17. In spiritual awakening, this young man saw himself poor, wretched, undone, and lost without the mercy of God. His spiritual awakening brought him to Methodism, which he in turn brought his second master to discipleship through Methodism, and was thusly allowed to buy his freedom from slavery at age 20. One fateful November Sunday morning that is, in 1787, as he and two of his spiritual friends were on their knees sharing in the altar prayer at St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church in Philadelphia, PA. The written account goes, "We had not been long on our knees when I heard scuffling and low talking. I opened my eyes to one of the trustees pulling Absalom from his knees. Absalom exclaimed, 'Wait until prayer is over. Let me finish my prayer and I will get up and trouble you no more.' William White was pulled from his knees, as was I, Richard Allen, and his two spiritual friends, Absalom Jones and William White, as well as all the other black congregants, left St. George's Methodist Episcopal Church as a body on that fateful Sunday morning. And they no longer plagued this church or threatened this church as the men of God that they were, who were being used by God. God brought the spiritual gifts, talents, and godliness of these men to action profoundly to this day. In 1793, there was an epic outbreak of yellow fever in Philadelphia. Workers were needed. Richard Allen and Absalom Jones were called upon to help save the city of brotherly love. It was believed that blacks were less likely to catch the fever, or less valuable as humans if they did. Picture it, two former slaves with differing views of doctrine, using their spiritual gifts to meet the needs of their unique surrounding community. Now that's brotherly love. Richard Allen was called upon in 1791 by the Free African Society to found and purchase property to build a new worship facility for the African Episcopal Church of St. Thomas. Because of their collaborative relationships aimed at doing what was right in God's eyes, Absalom Jones became the pastor of this church at St. Thomas. William White, who was a major financial contributor and a man of kind-heartedness, was the Episcopal bishop. On July 29, 1774, Richard Allen founded Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in a converted blacksmith's shop. His words were, "I could never be anything but Methodist," for it was the Methodists that taught this enslaved orphan to know the true love of God and the radical inclusiveness of all. Richard Allen was a servant and a hard worker for the Lord. He was willing to work for everything. He even worked to purchase the bride of his choosing. In seeing Allen's diligence in the Lord, Bishop Francis Asbury ordained Allen as the first black deacon in the Methodist Church and consecrated him as pastor of Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in 1799. In April of 1816, Richard Allen organized a conference of black churches. It was at this conference that the first black bishop was elected. The conference elected Reverend Daniel Coker of Baltimore. But Coker declined and insisted that Richard Allen, in his godliness, was indeed the cloth of bishop. Thank you.